Welcome back into another episode of Credentialed. I'm Jillian Mealy, and today I have a very exciting guest for you. I don't know, probably have heard his name before, Charles Barkley. Charles, thank you so much for joining me. I have been wanting to talk to you for so long. I really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem. It's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to it. Good
Okay,
to see,
so
good to see you again.
it is so good to see you. That was my first question is, do you remember when we met?
The first time,
Yeah,
or at the airport.
the first time.
Yeah, we had yes, with Neil, correct?
Yes, Neil
Yeah.
Hartman. So I looked up the date actually this morning. It was in January of 2013. So we're
Wow.
going on almost, if I'm doing the math right, almost 12 years since we met. Neil
Yes.
Hartman was an anchor, a sports anchor here in Philadelphia at Comcast Sportsnet when it was around. He's one of our mutual friends, my very first mentor in television. And you guys were right down the street from where I worked. He's like, oh, come on over, say hi. And I was like, okay, cool. You've always been so nice. Ran into you at the airport a few years ago, and I just genuinely appreciate your friendship. So thank you so much for being here. I want to
Thank you. Thank
start. Yes, of course. I want to start by going back a little bit. So I know you've talked about growing up in Leeds, Alabama, and you've talked about this. You've talked about your experience and how you got to where you are today. I'm curious if you can take me back there a little bit as well to the moment you really knew basketball was going to be your future.
Well, it was a fluid situation because I played football for one day and I realized that they were freaking nuts out there. I didn't. The reason I started playing sports, I was starting to get into trouble, and I didn't want to do that. I had a great mom and a great grandmother who raised me, and I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. But I wasn't good, so I played football for one day, and I realized like these dudes are freaking nuts out here. This is crazy. And then I started playing basketball, and I wasn't very good at it, to be honest with you, because I was only like 5'10". You know, a lot of people, if they go back and look at my career, I didn't get a lot of big time offers, but because I grew from 5'10" to 6'5" in one year. And
What were
I
you eating that year?
that's a great question. I've been asked that question many times. You know what was weird about it, Jillian? I didn't even have people like, wait, your bones had to be hurting and blah blah. I said, I don't remember my bones hurting. All I remember is when I went home, when I got back to school, I started the season. When I left, I was a backup point guard, and then when the season started, I was like a 6'5" power forward. So it was a really interesting time. It was a great thing too, to be honest with you, because obviously the basketball thing has been so amazing and blessed for me. It's given me every single thing in my life. But you know, growing up in a small town, I just started playing, man, because I didn't want to be a crook. My mother and grandmother, my mom was a maid, and my grandmother worked. She worked in the meat factory. So I just like, you know what? I don't want to be like these other crazy ass kids around here putting stress on my mother and grandmother. So I was like, hey, even though you suck at sports, it keeps you out of trouble.
So is that where the drive really came from? Was the drive to get out and be something and make something of yourself?
Well, the drive really, to be honest with you, just to get a scholarship. I did first of all, very few guys. Like I hadn't got any letters from major colleges. So to act like I'm not even thinking about the NBA at this time, to be honest with you. I'm thinking about just trying to get to college for free because I'm number one, I started out as a 5'10" backup point guard, and I'm a 6'5" power forward. So I'm not even thinking about the NBA. That's the furthest thing on my radar. And so I was really just trying to get a scholarship to college because, you know, like I say, as great as my mother and grandmother were, I don't know if I could have went to a great school if I had to pay myself.
So when did you start thinking about the NBA then?
After my freshman year in college, because, you know, I wasn't scoring, but I led the SEC in rebounding as a freshman. And I remember one of my coaches, Roger Banks, said to me, son, do you know what you're doing as a freshman? I said, no. He says, what? He says, you're averaging 10 rebounds a game. You're leading the SEC in rebound as a freshman. I says, well, I should be getting more rebounds. I averaged 20 rebounds in college, excuse me, in high school. I should be getting more rebounds. He says, son, if you get 10 rebounds a night for the rest of your life, you're going to be in the NBA for 15, 20 years. And I was like, what? He says, let me show you these stats. And you can go to probably the same stats today. There's probably 10 guys who are averaging double figures in rebounding every year in the NBA. And I was like, yo, man, I should be able to get 10 rebounds in my sleep. And he says, why don't you just get 10 rebounds a night here for a couple of years and then see what happens. And then, like I say, I was there for 3 years, the three of the best years of my life at Auburn. But when I got to the NBA, all I was thinking about, hey, go out and get 10 rebounds a night. I didn't even know I could score. Because I had never averaged more than 13 or 14 points a game. But I knew I could get double-digit rebounds a night. And then that's when everything changed. I'm like, I learned how to score, but man, getting those rebounds got me to the NBA.
Is there a moment or a person or a conversation maybe that really changed your perspective and that changed your life?
It's 100% changed my life. I mean, I'm from a town of a couple thousand people, and I'm thinking, let me get a scholarship. But until he had that conversation about, because I loved rebounding, like I said, I averaged 20 rebounds a game in high school. I was a machine. That's because they never passed me the ball, in fairness. But I was a rebounding machine. And like, man, when I got to college and I realized, like, I said, because I always used to tell myself, man, anybody, and I shouldn't say it because it sounds weird, anybody should be able to get 10 rebounds a night. If you're a good rebounder, you should be getting 10 rebounds a night. You probably should be getting 11 or 12, to be honest with you. And I think for my entire NBA career, I think I averaged over 11, 12 a game. And in one year, I led the NBA in rebound. I think I averaged 14.6. Wow. Still the shortest person to ever lead the league in rebound. I'm very proud of that stat. But once I learned to rebound and score, I was like, man, this is the greatest life ever. Man, because, you know, when you play sports, you know, football's a little different because it's dangerous. Boxing's dangerous too. But the other sports, if you're blessed to play hockey or baseball or basketball, you got one of the best jobs in the world. You're so lucky and fortunate and blessed.
Every little kid, I feel like at some point wants to grow up or has that dream of being a professional athlete. I played sports when I was young. I was not good enough at any one particular sport to even play in college. I golf now. We've talked about this. You golf now. You do this recreationally, but it's to have the ability to make that your livelihood. Is that one of the things that you're most proud of, or what would you say you are most proud of?
Great question. I think number one, making it is like, first of all, it's like hitting a lottery. You know, people don't even realize it's like 400 players in the NBA. If you're one of the 400 best players in the world, it's pretty special to get in that category. I'm very proud to say I made it there, but also the longevity. You know, playing 15, 16 years is incredible. You know, because the average NBA career is only like 3.5 years. And I had obviously had tremendous success. But the thing is, like, I'm so proud of what I accomplished as a basketball player because I was able to change the entire dynamics of my life and people around me. And even now, the stuff that I'm doing from a charity aspect, it's all because of that stupid ball. So basketball is the best thing ever happened to me by far in my life. Well, probably, you know, and I will say Moses Malone because, you know, when I got to the NBA, I wasn't getting to play. And I remember asking Moses, we happen to live in the same building. I said, Mo, can I come speak to you? And he said, sure. So I went up to the penthouse. My big Mo had the penthouse. And I asked him why I wasn't getting to play. And he said, son, you're fat and you're lazy. And at that point, Jillian, I was about 290, 95 pounds, which is the same weight I played in college. He said, son, you can't play at 290, 300 pounds in the NBA. You can do that bullshit in college, but you can't do it in the NBA because you're playing against the best of the best of the best. And this guy, and I used to call him Dad because he was the best thing happened to me in the NBA. He worked it out with me every day before and after practice, made me lose 50 pounds. And it changed the whole dynamic, not just the whole dynamic of my career and my life, because I've seen a bunch of players eat their way out of the NBA. But if I hadn't had a guy like Moses take me on this wing, and he didn't have to, he was at the end of his career. He'd accomplished pretty much everything. But to have a guy who took me on this wing, man, it was just the greatest thing ever.
But you did try to eat your way. I heard the story out of being drafted by the Sixers, my hometown, by the way. So I did laugh out loud when I heard you talk about this. I think it was on another podcast interview, or maybe you've talked about it a few times. But why didn't you want to come to Philly?
Well, back in those days, they had a hard salary cap. So they only had $75,000. And I didn't leave college. You leave college early to set yourself up for that financial success. I didn't leave college for $75,000.
Yeah.
So the Sixers, Harold Katz, had invited me up. He says, "Hey, I want you to get to 285." At that time, like I told you, I was around 295, right around close to 300. He says, and it was like probably 6 weeks out. And I went down to Houston and spent like 6 weeks, and 2 or 3 days before the draft, because the Sixers wanted me to stop and weigh again before I went to New York. So me and my agent, Lance Lushnick, and I'm 280, probably 284, 85, right? Even probably below, because I wanted to impress the Sixers. But then Lance sent me down and said, "Yo, man, you do know if the Sixers draft you, you're only gonna make $75,000." I'm like, "Well, that don't sound good." He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "What can we do to make sure the Sixers don't draft me?" So I went on a 3 or 4 day eating binge. I went to Denny's in the morning, got that Grand Slam breakfast. And went to lunch, got a big old steak. Because I'm in Texas, went down to this night, had a big old steak, dessert, and everything. And when I get back to Philly, because Harold Katz wanted to see, he said, "I want to see how bad you want to play in the NBA." When I get back to Philly, I'm like 297. He calls me every name in the book, "Cat, mother, blah 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 blah." And,
Beep, beep, beep.
yeah, and I'm kind of not trying not to laugh, because I'm like, good. They're not going to draft me. And I'm feeling good. We take the train up to New York and we go out and celebrate the night before the draft. And I'm not going to lie. And you know what's so interesting about this whole conversation? If the Sixers hadn't drafted me, I probably would have ate my way out of the NBA, because them taking me and pairing me with Moses changed my life. But I will tell you, when David Stern said with the fifth pick, 1984 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Charles Barkley, I'm in shock. I mean, this guy's called me every name in the book. So we take the train back down to Philly, and Harold says, "Okay, I only got $75,000 for you." I said, "Yeah, you do. And I'm not happy about that." And he says, "Well, if you can play, go to the summer league and show me." So I go to the summer league and I dominate. I mean, I'm really kicking ass, taking names. And we go back down to Philly after about a week. He says, "You prove your point." And they end up trading 2 players. So my first NBA contract was 4 years, $2 million. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever. And it was cool.
See, I wanted the context of that story because, you didn't have to stay in Philly after you were no longer a Sixer, and it's been a while and you still are here. You still love Philly. At least that's how it seems. And so the question is, what is it about Philly then that you love so much? Because you didn't have to stay.
I like Philly. Number one, they got some of the best golf courses in the world. Aronimink, Pine Valley. Saucon Valley is my favorite. Philadelphia Cricket, Philadelphia Country Club, Marion, Way Hill. That's up at, I'm trying to think. Commonwealth National is great.
I used to work there. Do you know that?
Lanark, I love Lanark. I play at Glen Mills.
Oh, Glen Mills is great.
Yeah, so and all I do during the summer, because I'm not a big traveler, I just want to play golf and chill. I'm good at that. And see, I actually love playing golf on the East Coast also, because I actually like to walk. I do. I love the fact that I can walk. Nobody's bothering me. Those big old trees are amazing. And that's the reason I live in Philly during the summer. I mean, I just think it's a tremendous place. And like I say, I can play golf every day. I played with your boy Neil Harmon and Howard Eskin. I got a couple of cop friends of mine, Phil Real. So I'm good. I played golf pretty much every day for the last 3 months. And I got about another little over a month ago. And I'm not going to do anything but play golf until then, till the season starts.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is, earlier in the summer, you had announced retirement, and now I know that you're going to still continue working for a bit. Talk to me about where you are with that. What is happening? I know at last check anyway, you weren't sure what inside the NBA looks like going forward after the contract. Any news or any update on that?
Yeah, Jillian, it's a very tricky, slippery slope for me because, you know, there are people involved.
Mm-hmm.
So my original game plan was to retire at 60, which I was very comfortable with that. And I was like, guys, and I had told them years ago, I said, I'm not working past 60. Now I'm telling y'all this so y'all can have a contingency plan. So they're like, we need a favor. I'm like, of course, I'd do anything for you guys. And they're like, we need you to stay 2 more years. I'm like, damn, now I'm gonna be 62. I said, okay, y'all been great to me. I want to do the right thing. And I said, and I had told Ernie, I said, Ernie, next year gonna be a perfect year for me to walk away because we got Vince Carter, we got Jamal Crawford who can sit in my seat. They work sometime with us. They're great. And I thought it'd be a perfect time for me to pass the torch. Little did I know that TNT was gonna up the deal and we lose the NBA contract. Jillian, these people are my friends. I've been with these people 24 years. It's so weird. I said that's how you know when you're getting old. Like some of these people they brought their kids in and said hello to me. Then they come in for the prom. Because they all want to come to that's in the middle of our playoff run. We work like every day. So they all want to come hang out, meet Kenny, Shaq, and Ernie and say hello before they go to the prom. They're really for the boys. And then now, years later, they come by, hey, my daughter's graduating from college. I'm like, holy shit, we've been here a long time. I saw you when you were first born. I saw you at your prom. And now I see you graduate college. So these people are like my family members. And so I was like really traumatized, to be honest with you, because I've never, because I was pretty sure we were going to lose to NBA just by the rumors I was hearing. And this was the first time we didn't sell, because we normally have an exclusive period. And we've always signed during the exclusive period. Like you always have like 6 months to a year where you get to redo the deal. And we've always redid the deal. This is the first time it became open. So I was like, oh, this is not good. We might lose the NBA. And to be around people who talking about, man, I got a wife, I got a girlfriend, I got a kid, I got a mortgage. And they were really talking about getting not having a job. And it was traumatic for me because I actually care about these people. And I ain't gonna get on here and lie. I ain't never worried about anything like that. And so it was traumatic and tough for me. So the way I had structured my contract was TNT had to make me an offer to take a pay cut, which obviously I was gonna say no. Hell no. I wasn't gonna say, guys, y'all messed up. Why am I getting screwed? Because I signed a 10-year deal, and this is only year 2. And they said, we need to come and fly to you and make you an offer, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I thought they were going to say, hey, thank you for everything. It's been a great partnership. Good luck if you want to continue. I know you don't want to continue, but if you go to ESPN or NBC or Amazon, we wish you nothing but the best. And I'm sitting there in this meeting, they're like, no, we're going to keep doing this show. I'm like, excuse me? We don't have basketball. How are we going to do a basketball show without basketball? They're like, we don't know how to do that yet, but we're going to keep doing it. And I'm sitting there like, well, that's interesting. I don't know how you do a basketball show without basketball, but hey, you know what? My friends are going to keep their jobs for at least another couple of years. Okay, so I'm not sure. I wish I could give you like a really good answer. We're going to do a basketball show without basketball. It's like, at least my friends keep their job, but I'm like, I'm thinking to myself the whole time in this meeting, how are we going to do a basketball show without basketball? And so it's been a very interesting thing. And like I say, we got at least a year to figure it out, but I don't know how it's going to work. I tell people, they're like, how's it going to work? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could. I can't even make you up anything. I have zero idea how it's going to work, and we're going to have to wait and see.
The rumors are still circulating though that, I mean, look, you're a hot commodity. People want you, you know, they want you on their networks. So you're staying put?
Well, I have no choice. If they didn't offer me a pay cut, I have to stick to my original 10-year agreement. Hey, listen, I'm very flattered that the other networks want me. A couple things. Number one, I am really, that's amazing that they want me. People have been sending me the articles, and I'm like, yo, man, quit making me think about this stuff. I don't want to think, because I'm really more concerned about the people I work with than myself.
Yeah.
But for me, my biggest concern is starting over. You know, I've been with Ernie 25 years, Kenny 25 years, Shaq, I think 15, somewhere in there. Going to another network and breaking in a different crew, that's my biggest concern. I haven't totally ruled it out. Like, I don't know if I have the energy to try to navigate 3 new people. Because number one, Ernie would never leave Turner. And I don't know what the other networks want, who they want. I just had conversation with them personally. And I said, there's no need. Number one, I'm flattered you guys want to meet with me, but we don't have to make a decision right now. I got a year to go. But my biggest concern, Jillian, is, Chuck, do you really want to go and break in 3 new guys at 63 years old? That's my only concern.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. And you've been with them a long time. You mentioned it's not just the people on air too. You know, it's the people who work behind the scenes, the people you talk about watching their kids grow up. It really is a family environment. People, they love you, you know, and that's people you work with. That's the viewers who watch. They love, and there's something so special about you, Charles, the authenticity that you bring to everything you do. You know, there's a lot of, I feel like, societal pressures and things where people sometimes struggle because I confidence coach a lot of people, a lot of executives. People struggle to be authentic. They struggle to voice their opinions, to be themselves. How do you find that so easy to do? Because so many people look up to you because of that. And I think that that's why you're seeing it now. Everybody wants you. They want you to work for them, and everybody wants to watch you.
Well, number one, thank you. You know, it's actually pretty easy, to be honest with you, because I tried it the other way in the beginning, where I tried to make everybody happy. And I had this conversation with Dr. J, who's always been great to me. I said, Doc, I'm getting some blowback on this and this and this. He says, so what are you trying to do? He says, you know, man, I'm trying to be honest, and, you know, I'm trying to make everybody happy. He said, oh, so young fella, you need to stop that right there. And he says, nothing anybody says is going to make everybody happy, especially if you're in the limelight. There's a bit built-in resentment toward anybody who's successful. It's interesting. You know, I like to sit back and just look at all the BS with all the political stuff going on. And I saw all the people trashing, all the Republicans are trashing Taylor Swift. And I was sitting there saying, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have said that if she had endorsed Trump. And it just goes to show you, like, I mean, they were like going crazy in the car. Like her opinion don't even matter. And she didn't even tell anybody who to vote for. She says, I want all you guys to vote, but I'm voting for Kamala. But it was interesting watching all the Republicans, like, she is a brat. She's spoiled. She's no talent. She's a spoiled billionaire. I'm like, you the same people would be kissing her ass if she had endorsed Trump. So to get back to your question is, if you live your life trying to make everybody happy, you're going to go insane. It's impossible. And especially in my situation, because fans don't want but 2 things. Tell me my team is great and tell me my favorite player is great. That's all they want. They don't want like, hey, your team's not very good. Hey, your favorite player, he's a good player. No, he's a great player. No, he's a good player. First of all, everybody in the NBA is a good player. There's levels to this, obviously, but I'm telling you, your guy is a good player. He's not a great player. And if you don't say those two things, they hate your ass. That's all fans want. Tell me my team is great and tell me my favorite player is great. I'm like, dude, number one, I'm going to be honest with you. But that was a decision I made like, hey, I can't make everybody happy. At least I can be an honest, straight shooter. And I hope the fans appreciate that because that's who I'm really talking to. I don't worry about the players or the coaches. I won't because I take my job very serious because most of these people are never going to meet these guys. So I can't go on TV with no hidden agenda. Like, okay, because I watch TV a lot because I love sports, and you can tell when guys have a hidden agenda. They're like, oh, he don't like that player. He don't, or he likes that player, and no matter what he does wrong, he gonna cover up for him. And I hate announcers or journalists like that. Just tell the truth. The fans just saw it. The fans just saw it. They like, I said, wait, you want me to get on TV and say you played great and you played like crap? I lose all my credibility. And I never want to lose that to the fans.
You know, there's a lot of people who, you know, we all go through ups and downs in life, the highs and the lows. Can you think to maybe a decision that you made that was tough or a period of time in life that was tough and how you were able to overcome it? Because I think oftentimes people look up to celebrities, they look up to athletes, just anybody that they kind of put on that pedestal. And it's like, wow, you know, you live this amazing life. You played basketball, or for me, you were a journalist for so long. You know, everything looks so glamorous. But at the end of the day, we're all human.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to people who are maybe in it right now, to people who are struggling right now, maybe feel a little lost because we've all been there? What
Yeah.
would you say to them?
Well, everybody messes up. You know, I go back to the spit incident when I spit on a little girl back in the 80s, 90s. I can't remember. It was so long ago. Man, when I was sitting in that hotel room crying, I felt low, so low. I was like, damn, what the hell did you do? And I was just sitting there saying what a loser I was. And then, you know, you're like, hey, you messed up. You think any of these people feel sorry for you? You got to keep it moving. And then, you know, a few way back, I got a DUI. And I remember sitting in that cell thinking, like, what a freaking loser. And then you're like, okay, you are human. Just because your ass is good at basketball or you on TV, you're still human. Like everybody make mistakes. And I was saying, I said, hey, you know what? You make a mistake. The one thing you can never do is thinking like, just because these people are giving you accolades and you kind of famous, you kind of rich and everything, like, yeah, that's a bonus, but you're still a regular person. And for me, I always know that. Because like, I'm like, yo, man, that's the thing I always talk about. There's only about this much between a pat on the back and a kick in the ass. It's only about 6-7 inches. They're like real close together. Like people patting you on the back and some people kicking your ass. It's only about that much distance. So the same people who are patting you on the back, you one mistake for them kicking your ass. And the same people kicking your ass, you're only having some success with them patting you on the back. So it's never as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. Because the one thing about life, man, stuff happens all the time, Jillian. No matter how rich you are, how poor you are, what color you are, good stuff happen and bad stuff gonna happen. You just gotta handle it. You can't let it take you down. Like when you like, I was like, okay. I know, okay, you messed up. I think the biggest problems with a lot of celebrities, they can't get the words out their mouth. I'm wrong. I messed up. Because they got so many losers around them on the payroll. Like, let's put out a statement. let's just try to navigate this. I'm like, nah, man, just say you messed up. It's all right. And I will tell you this, the public has always supported me doing my screw ups because I was like, I'm not putting out no statement. I'm not going to let y'all try to sugarcoat it. I just get on TV and say, yo, man, it's on me. I messed up. And I genuinely think the public has always said, hey, whether you like that guy or agree with him or disagree, he going to tell you, no, it's on me. I screwed this up. And too many celebrities are afraid to say that because their publicists or the team they play for or the movie they're going to be in, there are people around them like, that's going to be bad publicity. I'm like, I think people will respect me more if I just say I messed up.
Yeah, the margin nowadays, though, I feel like is so thin because everything is on video. I mean, you know it with social media and with just this digital world we're in. It's like no one can get away with anything. There's photos or there's videos or there's something. So it's like you might as well just own up to it and just then move on from it because it just seems like that's easier nowadays. At least that's my perspective.
Well, if you don't, because I think so you're dealing with a lot of moving parts. You got the media, you got the public, you got the idiots on the internet. I never worry about the internet because I don't do the internet. I just got social media. I do Instagram.
I was going to say, so wait, are you not following me on Instagram then? Am I following a dude?
Yeah, no. So I just started Instagram because I bought a distillery in Alabama. I got a vodka and gin distillery because I'm looking for economic opportunities in Alabama. So I got a vodka and a gin. I bought a distillery about 3 or 4 years ago. And they're like, and I just got on Instagram. They're like, Chuck, we need you to do. I said, no. And I avoided it for like 3 years because I don't need negativity in my life. I always thought about what kind of loser takes time out of their life to write something negative on the internet. Like, aren't you doing something successful? Like, I'm always doing something successful, I feel like. I'm never going to take like, hey, you know what? I saw something on the internet the other day. Let me make a sarcastic, asinine, or hateful, or stupid statement. I'm like, who does that? Who does that?
Lots
And
of people.
I know, but they're losers. Like, yeah, okay, way to pile on. Like, what you want? Why did you feel the need to be hateful or rude or a jackass to somebody? Did that make you feel better? You're still the same loser. Because let me tell you something. The one thing I know about successful people, they're not paying that crap any attention. Their ass have got their nose to the ground. They grinding because success makes you got to grind and be successful. There's no lazy person who's successful because it's hard to be successful. And anybody who's really successful, they're not on the internet trolling people at all.
I love that message because nowadays, like, think about it. The generation of kids that are growing up right now, they're really the first generation to grow up with social media from a young age. I didn't, you didn't. And I can't imagine what that's like, to be honest with you, to grow up and have to face that every day because it can be brutal in that online world. So I'm glad that you said that because I think that's a good message.
Only if you let them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like, I'm not going to let somebody hurt my feelings because they don't like me. Okay, I get it. You want to say something rude to me, keep it moving, but I don't give it a grain of a thought. I mean, okay, you want to write that I'm ugly. Okay, I appreciate it. You want to write that I'm fat. Okay, I appreciate it. But I ain't going to give it a second thought. That's never going to happen. I mean, I'm not built like that. Okay. It goes back to our earlier conversation. If you think you're going to make everybody happy, and really you're going to go crazy, but what they're really trying to do is, that person look like they're doing good. Let me try to drag them down. And I'm like, that ain't never going to happen. That ain't never going to happen. Where I would get to the point where I was like, some dude in Idaho wrote something bad about Charles Barkley. I'm like, are you serious right now? You want me to respond to that? So why would I respond to that? Some guy in Wisconsin wrote something mean about me. I'm like, you want me to respond to that? You want me to respond to everybody who wrote something bad about me? Well, are you kidding? I would never let that happen.
What and who inspires you?
Anybody who's doing good stuff inspires me because I think it's important for me. I've been so lucky and blessed in my life to try to do as much good as possible. Um, we live in a very noisy world. Uh, you got to make sure that you don't let the noise drown you, because there's a lot of good stuff out here, but the loud stuff is what you hear the most of. I know that sounds like silly wordplay, but the loudest stuff, that's what you hear the most, but you can't let that dictate how you live your life. I mean, because there's a lot of good stuff happening, but it's very quiet. But the loud stuff, man, you have to block it out. You know, you have to block it out. And that's the one thing I'm really good at. I'm like, hey, man, did you see what this person did the other day? That was pretty cool. I saw this story the other day by Steve Hartman about this young girl who donated bone marrow to this young girl. And I was like, see, that's a great story. We had him on the podcast last year, me and Ernie. We do a podcast. It's really cool. And Ernie's a big Steve Hartman fan, and I am also. But he just does something good every week, and I love it. And he had this young girl. She couldn't have been more than 24 or 25. And she donated some bone marrow to this young girl who was going to die, who was probably like 6 or 7. And I was like, that's a great story. That's a great story. And that's the stuff that gives me hope and keep me hopeful.
I read a great story recently about this guy named Charles Barkley who is donating, I want to say $1 million to a school in New Orleans because 2 girls figured out something about math.
Hey, don't you try it. Don't you try it. Hey.
What is it? The Pythagorean theorem or something? I don't even know how to say it.
That's my point. I told you not to try it. So.
Did I say it right?
No, I can't say it either. That's why I say it. So I'm a very private person on charity. So about 20 years ago, I started giving $1 million a year away to charity. I started at my high school. I started at my college. There's a couple of more poor schools in Alabama that I got involved with. Then I did Wounded Warriors. I did HBCUs. I just did women's sports at Auburn. And then I went back and did basketball because women basketball is hot right now. So I want to make sure the women got, I did $1 million for ALS. So my goal, and I started, like I said, I started about 20. I just did this one where they help men in prisons learn a trait. And when they get out, they got a job. It's pretty cool. It's a school system in Alabama I got involved with. Because a lot of these guys, man, and I'm not talking about hardcore criminals. I'm talking about guys who gonna get out and need to learn a craft. It's a pretty cool thing. So I decided, like, yo, man, you've accomplished all your goals. You got an amazing life because of the stupid basketball. Ain't no sense in dying with all that money. So my goal is, and like I said, I started probably 20 years ago, somewhere in there. And my goal is to give away $1 million a year away to charity. But the question you asked me was, so I watch 60 Minutes religiously. I love that show. And I will tell you something. Last year they did one on me. It was pretty cool and special. So like I said, I watch that show every week. It's amazing. And I was sitting around one night and they says there was an unsolvable math problem that these 2 young girls figured out. And I was like, damn, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then they showed where they went to school down in Louisiana. It's an all-girls schools that survives on donations. Girls have to dress a certain way. They demand excellence. All the kids get scholarships, a lot of them to Ivy League schools and things like that. I was like, those are the kind of things that I want to give my money to. And so I'm just trying to do, you asked me earlier what inspires me, man. Just trying to do good stuff. Like I say, I don't know where I'm at in life. I know I'm on the back nine. I'm hoping I'm on 12 or 13. But if I'm on 18, it's all good. I've had I'm not afraid of death. I'm not even worried about it. I've had a great run. I've exceeded all my expectations. I think about this. Growing up in a small town of a couple thousand people, living in the projects. My mom is a maid. My grandmother works in a meat factory. I got 3 brothers, and most of my family except one brother. My mom, my dad, my grandmother. 2 of my brothers have passed away. Just one brother left. And I'm 61, and I'm thinking like, man, I think about growing up in the projects and where I'm today doing your podcast, meeting you in Philadelphia, all the things I've been able to do and accomplish. I'm like, damn, this is a good run. And so it's been great. I've been so lucky and blessed. I've exceeded all my expectations. And like I say, I'm just trying to do some good stuff before I get the hell out of here.
You're not going anytime soon. All right. Let's
Well, we hope not. We hope not. But hey,
Yes.
it's crazy. Death is so crazy. Because I actually just found out something very interesting. So I'm in Atlanta. I'm doing a Boys and Girls Gala tomorrow night. And I was talking to one of the people. This is how crazy life is. Tito Jackson was supposed to be here tomorrow. And he passed away yesterday. I guess he had a heart attack driving from Oklahoma to somewhere. But that's just how crazy life is. The guy was telling me, because I was make sure what time I got to be there and everything. He said, man, it's so sad around here today. I said, what's going on? He says, Tito Jackson was supposed to be at this gala tomorrow night. I'm like, man, life is so crazy. I mean, I'm thinking that is so crazy that this man was supposed to be at this gala tomorrow night and he died of a heart attack. Yeah. So, like I say, you just never know. I mean, you could be at a place with crazy people now. I mean, you just never know. So, hey, man, I'm lucky and blessed and thankful, and I got to live my dream. And hey, whatever happens, happens.
Well, I appreciate you spending my birthday with me, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Today is my birthday. Oh, Charles, I'm 42.
Oh my God, you're a baby. I'm almost 20 years older than you. That's crazy. You're a baby.
Yeah, you were drafted in what, 84, right?
84, 85, yep.
Yeah, I was, dare I say, I was born in 82.
Damn. That's crazy.
I know. Okay, I've eaten up so much of your time, but before you go, I can't let you leave without talking about the Eagles, because I don't know what happened last night. Losing that game in the final minute.
Let me tell you something. It's too soon.
I know, but
let me tell you something. I had the Eagles, and so I had the Eagles in 5.5. And I'm like, I was so glad when they didn't get the first down, because they probably would have kneeled and I would have been pissed. So then I was like, okay, I might squeak by a half. And I'm like, okay. And then before I knew it, they were down the field after 3 plays and scoring territory. And I'm like, I'm going to get screwed by 1 point. I mean, so, yeah, that game hurt last night. The thing that bothers me, to be honest with you, they didn't play to win the game. I don't understand why they didn't try to score a touchdown and put the game out of reach. If you go back and look at that game, they ran it every time. Like, let's try to get the first down. I'm like, no, score a touchdown and get the game over. They never even went close to the end zone. And the Falcons were in the defense where they knew you were going to run the ball, so you could have threw the ball. And that's the only thing that pissed me off. When you got a chance to put your foot, don't worry about kicking the field goal and stuff like, man, you were already in field goal range. Go for the touchdown. Say, hey, Jalen, be careful with the ball. Let's go for the juggler. But they didn't. They were playing to run out the clock or for a field goal. That's the only thing I'm mad at. You don't play sports like that. When you got a chance to put your foot on somebody's neck, they score a touchdown, the game's over. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was mad. I was mad because of that. Hey, give Kirk Cousins, those guys credit. But the only reason I was mad is because they didn't go for the juggler. They were playing for either to run the clock out or a field goal. They never even sniffed toward the end zone. That's the only thing that bothers me.
Look, I mean, there is certainly a lot that happened in that game that you can go back now. Any of us can go back now and say, oh, you should have done this, or oh, you shouldn't have done this. Jalen Hurts, don't throw an interception, in the final minutes of the game. Saquon Barkley, don't drop the pass late in the third. I mean, there's so many things you can talk about. Darius Slay.
100% agree. But listen, if you don't, you go for the touchdown in that situation. I understand the Slay thing. I understand the Barkley thing. But like I say, I'm sitting there like, yo, man, go for the touchdown. Do not play for the field goal or try to run the clock out. And that's the only, like I said, that's what bothered me.
What's it like for the athletes, though, in that position? Because afterwards, you had Saquon Barkley. Obviously, the media is pressing for answers as to what happened. He comes out and he's like, I dropped the ball. Like, I let my team down. Darius Slay on X sent out a note saying, that's on me, Philly. I owe y'all one. How tough is it, or maybe it isn't, as an athlete, when you have those moments in a game like that? How tough is it to put that onus on you?
Oh, it's tough. I think Saquon, that's a tough one. He catch that ball, the game's over. And Slay, I mean, the dude made a hell of a move on him. I don't think there's anything he could have did like that. But like I say, I thought them playing conservative was the difference in the game. Go for the juggler, man. You score a touchdown, the game is over. They were not trying to score a touchdown. That's what pissed me off watching that game. They were like, we're going to just try to run the clock out. I'm like, don't run the clock out. Just go for the juggler. You're already in the field goal range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what do you think? Me.
What do you think for the rest of the season for them?
Well, I got the Eagles going to the Super Bowl, but I don't feel good after watching that defense last night. That defense was awful. I mean, Robinson is a hell of a running back. He was averaging 8 yards a rush for 3 quarters. I mean, their defense got to play better. I mean, they're going to score. When they get AJ back, they're going to score. But, man, that defense, they look like the Dallas Cowboys defense. After that's what I saw, they were brutal. That was an awful defensive performance. Awful, flat out awful. And you could tell they were so bad. They're gonna score because they were not good. Other than Gardner making that one play on the 4th and 1, they didn't play good all night.
Yeah, you could tell, especially in those final minutes. It was 70 yards in a matter of like a minute.
Oh, they went 70 yards. They went 70 yards
out
in 3 plays.
Yeah.
They went 70 yards in 3 plays. I'm like, oh man. I mean, they scored so quick. The Eagles got the ball back with a chance to score. That's how quick they scored. They're like, normally it would take you the entire clock, but they were scoring so fast, it was crazy.
And I feel bad even laughing because it's, it's my team, but it just was so like, it's like, what just happened?
I know.
Oh, okay. That's where we are. Got it. Okay.
I think most people are mad. I wish this is one thing. That's the one thing I miss about being in Philly year round. When some bullshit happens, being around and listening to the radio shows all day. Because when something bad happens in Philly, there's no better sport than listening to the Fanatic and WIP. There's nothing better. I can't imagine how Mike Missinelli and those guys are going crazy today because what's gonna bother people, they gave that game away. The Falcons didn't win the game, the Eagles gave it away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you are right. Charles, anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to say before I give you your day back?
My day is good right now. I'm doing absolutely freaking nothing. So I didn't play golf today. I'm gonna play golf in the morning before my charity event. This is the best time. Like, it sucked in Philly all summer because it was like soup. Man, it was so damn hot this summer. But now I can't wait to get back to Philly because, man, this is the perfect time of the year to play golf. It's starting to cool off everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
All the brats are going back to school. The college kids are gone. The high school, junior kids.
Did you just say brats?
Yeah, those are kids. They're brats. They take over the golf course during the summer. They're around. But it's nice. They're all going back to school. You can play golf every day with your friends and not be annoyed. Yeah, brats.
They're not all brats.
They're not all brats, but you out there to play golf.
Oh my gosh. All right. When you come back to Philly, we are playing golf.
I look forward to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
And thank you for spending an hour with me on my birthday. You've made my day.
Well, happy birthday. What are you doing for your birthday?
I'm gonna get off this computer here, and I'm maybe gonna go pour a glass of wine, have some dinner, just relax.
You should have a nice dinner.
Yeah, I will.
You gotta have a nice dinner for your birthday.
I will. Thank you.
Don't be drinking cheap wine either.
I will not. Thank you. You know, you could send me some of your vodka and whiskey, or, you know, whatever the liquor you're creating is. I would be drinking that.
Vulcan Gin, Redmont Vodka.
All right.
I'll get you some.
Ship it to my house, and then I'll drink it when I receive it.
Got to get it approved in Philly. I got to get it approved Pennsylvania. They got some strict ass laws up there, but I'm gonna get you some.
Oh, Pennsylvania is home of the best.
Yeah, it is home of the best. It's hard liquor.
Charles, thank you as always. I so appreciate it, my friend. And
okay, baby, you take care of yourself. Happy birthday.
Thank you, and have a good day. And thank you for joining me on Credentialed. I'll see you next time.